Check this out. That's cool. I want one.
Kitty cat, y'all. Oh, I want the kitty cat.
That's pretty awesome. That's awesome.
Well, we love to do these track demonstrations. Jason has a peculiar way of doing it, but he's not going to do it this year. But he likes to. Maybe he can explain a little bit how he has a technique that he does. But today, to get the footprint cast, what is that? That's a good piece of evidence. It may not be Bigfoot, but you can cast dog prints, any prints. After today, if you guys want to do a casting, we have material for that. And the two types of material out there that's very good for casting is the Hydrocal, which we'll show you, and the, do you have Hydrocal?
I got Hydrocal right here, but I also got regular plastic. It's a little cheaper.
So the poor man's cast that I use, right here, that's the prints.
Yep, that's what I've got here.
And that's what I use. Now, the prints don't last as long. They will deteriorate after years and years. Hydrocal, they won't. But in a bag, carried around out there in the field, you want to have some items in there. Now, when you find a print, it's always good just to flag it. Go back and put a flag in. You can find it very easy. Or use hunter's tape.
And it keeps you from accidentally stepping in, which happens a lot.
You got stir sticks you want to bring, mixing the material, water, of course, and I bring a little thing like this. What I do is I like to shoot out some of the debris that's in the track. Why get a paintbrush and brush it out? You're distorting the print. So just nicely manicure it. Just clean it out. It's one of these. This is what I do. Also, what I do is here, I will spray my print with spray paint, hairspray, wax that you wax your skis with, or liquid wrench, whatever I have. It's something to let the track pull out just a little better. That's all. That's all the stuff there. So, that being said, you can also get a PVC pipe, make yourself a walking stick, take that material, pour it inside that PVC pipe, and walk around with that pipe. You have your material right there, it's in your walking stick. Some year, I'm going to be making those sticks for you guys. So we're going to get right to it here.
The other thing that I'd like to mention before he gets too much into the track casting is first you have to find the tracks. Now, as I've told many of you guys, the biggest thing with the tracks, the bigger they are, the harder they are to track because the weight distribution on the foot is a lot less with a big track. It's like wearing snowshoes. The key to finding them, and I always carry this as part of my kit. I always have a tape measure in my kit. I have a mobile kit like that, but I always have this in my truck. And I've had incidences, as has Kenny, where you find so many tracks that you couldn't possibly carry enough plastic. And they'll run on for miles along a beach or something like that. But most of the time when you find them around your camp, you're going to walk out your tent and boom, it's going to be right by the front door. The key is then to look for the next track. Most of the time in Colorado, you're going to just get a scuff. It will be just a barely scuff on the ground. That's all you'll see. But you measure toe to toe or heel to heel, whichever you prefer, measure it out, take a picture of it, and then from that, you draw a radius of that stride and you look out and it will help you find the next track. Again, maybe another scuff. You might find 15 or 20 scuffs before you find a good print because they are very careful where they walk and how they walk. But that's the best way to find their tracks. And there's a good way, like you said, with the flagging. I like to do the flagging, and then when you pour the tracks, if you have enough plastic, multiple tracks in a row, take a picture of it before you pull it out, and also take a picture of it before you pour it. There's details in the photograph that you'll destroy once the plaster hits it. And when you do it at a distance with the white spots, if I had signal, I could show you one of them. you can see where the tracks are in white in a photograph, and you can see that foot distribution that we're talking about in the stride, because they don't walk like us. They walk in a straight line. Very rarely will you see them like this. It's almost always like this, like a tightrope. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention, because if you're gonna be making plaster casts, the trick is finding them.
Walk like that. Oh my! Don't walk like that. Did that thing?
So I'll let him get into his thing. You want to do your? I bring that along with me.
Bring some of this.
That's just drywall repair stuff. It acts as reinforcing bar for your track, because they have a tendency to break over time. Anything you can do to make them last, that goes back to the Hydrocal thing. But you know, and the other thing is just carry a kit with you. This is almost always in my truck, because I never know when I'm going to run into it. And I've got at least, I don't know, probably 3 gallons of plaster in here, along with all my mixing materials, different tools. I have different scrapers and other things. I also have a fingerprint kit that I keep in my car, because you do get fingerprints a lot, and they are not human. I guarantee you, they are very weird. I have a collection of them.
But you know they will go down onto all fours.
Yes, they'll do that a lot. You'll get handprints if you get a plaster as well.
These big opposing palm.
Their fingers are almost triangular shaped. So anyway, go ahead, Keith.
So we put a print in the ground, okay? So find your print. How would you measure a track weight, guys? Would you go from the toe to heel to toe?
It depends on what you want to do. I mean, I always try to go toe to toe. That's kind of what I like to do, but it varies from person to person. But you got to make a mental note so it's consistent every time.
So he's finding the track up there, going from the toe, finding the track back here,
And the next toe, yeah.
toe to toe. That's going to give us a gap, a space between the distance between each track. That's important.
Usually, if they're walking on a meet, it depends on their size.
Yeah, you're gonna cut through.
You know, one that's got a track like the size of his foot would probably have about a 6-foot stride.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've seen some that have 11 or 12-foot stride. They're freaking huge. And if they're running, it's even farther.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why you need a tape measure. You got to find that radius. I mean, imagine if you have something that steps here, and then he doesn't hit the ground again until here, and all he leaves is that little step. And you got to do that over and over and over again until you get a good track. This casting.
Sometimes they won't leave a full print.
Oh, yeah, or you just get a heel. And they love to step on like these little humps, like where a mole would dig up, and you get like a bent arched foot where the toes are buried in the dirt. You get a lot of that stuff.
So take a bucket or something with you. Use your pouring material bucket. Take the material after I've sprayed my track a little bit. So I'm just going to spray it. This might not have water. This is wax that you wax your skis. I'll spray it. I looked at the track earlier, and I could blow it. I could blow it out a little bit, So that can's been with me for about 10 years.
400 years.
Yep. This is liquid winch. Liquid winch.
Oh,
yeah. It's an oil base. All it's going to do is help the track release nicer. Okay? Not going to. So you do that. You measure it. I don't have a tape measure, like it says. Have your equipment with this, so you can measure it.
Take a picture of it.
Now, that's about a 10.5 inch. Now, I'm going to measure toes, 5 inches. I'm going to go to the middle, 3 3/4. I'm going to go to heel, around 2 3/4. Write all that down. A lot of times I didn't do that. I didn't categorize. I didn't
Take a lot of photos with your phone.
And photos, right? Okay, mixing stick, simple bucket, material. Take material, pour it in, I'm going to do a consistency of pudding. Slightly of pudding.
Now what I like to do, if you're dealing with something that's in dust or you're worried about a lot, if you get something where you can actually see the dermal ridges in it and you want to keep that detail in there, I like to use a really, really runny plaster.
Yep.
I'll do a layer of runny plaster and then I thicken it up to the top, because that runny plaster will run into those little tiny creases in the foot, and you'll get all kinds of, you'll get scars, you'll get dermal ridges, you'll get everything.
You get deformities in print.
And there's a lot more detail. So one of the mistakes that we always make when we first start doing this is you get a footprint and you're like, that's not even worth casting. There's details in there that you can't see until you plaster it out.
Now go buy KFC and buy chicken and get one of these. So just pour your material in, look at it, figure, you know, let's mix her up. Okay, just like you're making a cake, gotta make that batter good. You don't want a lumpy cake, do you? Now this stuff dries pretty quick. You don't have to work with it so fast.
All right. So now, like I said, take a handful. I think you have to dribble it in.
You have to redo it.
All right, your foot. Here you go. Your turn. Grab your hand in there. That's how we did it.
Well,
Now see, you have those blocks in here. Leave those in there.
I think all you're gonna see is my nose. I couldn't get it far enough into the skin and stuff. Yeah. They're about the size of a dog. Because it was up on the surface and it was kind of messed around. I wanted to see something that that guy's like. This one is not a couple more centimeters. I think it's the scariest thing. Oh man, it's so cool. Now Mark.
There you go, dude.
They are made and they sensing the emotion of competition, and that when it's the competition,
Pretty slick, huh?
there is food
That's awesome.
involved. So they think.
Wait till you get the real thing and you pull it out. Like my favorite track, which have you gone to the museum yet?
No, we want to go.
Okay, so for those of you, I don't know, does 10 o'clock in the morning sound like you can be ready by 10 to leave? If you guys want to go down to the museum tomorrow, I'll give you a personal tour at the museum.
What time? Heck yeah.
Okay.
What time?
Because 10. Yeah, we'll meet down where the picnic table is, and then you guys, we can all meet down at the, or we can just meet at the, let's meet at the picnic table and we can all leave at the same time.
So like be ready as in breakdown?
It should be like 8 or we want it to hold together and go into the print. If it was too runny, the current will wash it away.
This is the first for Jason.
Yeah, I've never done one in the running water. I've done it in like puddles and creek beds and that kind of stuff.
So what you're saying is you're making history right now.
We're trying something new. We'll see if it blows up in my face.
Sometimes we're out there, we can cast for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, you can be out there casting that's not many tracks when you find them. But you gotta follow them for a long time using that method to find out where they screwed up. And they'll be like, oh, no one's ever gonna come here.
And you know, the little ones are like little kids. They mess up because they're like a little child. Then they get a little bit older and we get a little bit more cautious.
Okay, that's good. So once it's all done, you fold the cast out. How do you preserve it after that?
So another, before I forget, now that you're mentioning that, one thing we forgot to show you is when I put the cast in, once it starts to set up and get dry, I like to write the date and location with a stick on the back of the cast. That way you know what it is.
Yeah,
And
go
if you're
back
doing-
when it gets to
Yes.
where you can mark it.
And if
just
you're doing
put a date.
multiple tracks, number them. Number 1, number 2, number 3.
number 4, yeah.
And then when you get multiple individuals, then you got track 1, step 3, track 2, you know.
See how Jason's mixing almost consistency of batter.
Yeah, really thick because it's got to hold together where we're going to drop it into the track. There you go.
And man, this is
See?
fun when you get out there and start doing it.
So now I like to just drip it in.
See?
So see, pretty thick. And that's actually thicker than I usually make it. I like a little more running. Yeah, so you mind watching that camera behind you? Never mind, it's pointing in the wrong place anyway.
You want me to point it towards you?
Sure, thanks. Okay, so I like to just drip it in. So I've got a little bit here. I'm going to start at the bottom of her foot, the downhill side. And just drip it in. Maybe wiggle it just a little bit because we do have sediment in there, and unlike with in the open air, you can't use a snifter bottle to clean it up. It'd be cool if we actually got a toe out of this. That'd be pretty awesome. See, I'm just building it up. Now I've got a little damp. Now I've got still water on her heel part.
So he's working it right back now to the heel.
Right back to the heel.
He went toe area first, he's working his way.
Just because the toe was on the downhill slope.
See?
If it was the heel was on the downhill slope, I would have started with the heel. Just start with the downhill slope. Because you're basically creating a dam and building backwards. See how I'm kind of wiggling it in? Don't want to wiggle it too much because then we start to distort the print on the front end.
Yeah, you don't want to manipulate the print or distort it. Just let
But
it.
what's really cool though, see what I'm trying to do here is if I build the plaster up so that it's equal with the water level, then it tells you what angle the foot was when it went into the ground, which also tells you foot movement and morphology, especially with the mid-tarsal break and all the other stuff that we like to look for. Here we go, and this Hydrocal will set up faster than the plaster will. So we could probably come back in a few hours and probably pull this gently.
What you're doing now, is that's Hydrocal?
Yes, this is Hydrocal, because I didn't want to open up you guys' plaster thing until...
And we wanted to show you two different types
two
of
different
pours.
ways, yeah.
Right.
So we'll let that sit. When it starts to get a little harder, you can take a stick and write the date and the location on the back of it, so that you never forget. Like me and him, we have a couple hundred tracks each. I mean, they're everywhere. You can't keep them all straight. They're everywhere. So, so there you go. And you can actually see where her foot went. And hopefully, if it dries out, we'll be in good shape. Thank you for your foot. Thank you for the camera. Yeah. Right on.